It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Welcome to Series 32, looking at the players of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This episode is looking at the players of South Korea. Part 2, the selections. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin, and this is a continuation of Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode is part 2 of our coverage of South Korea's players. The final roster is released, and we are looking at the selections for South Korea. In part 1, we compiled a list of players and their likelihood of reaching the final squad. That's not irrelevant. That part of it might be after we finish here. But the important part is we gave some biographical and career information to introduce the main players to you to help you to get to know them better. So perhaps after finding out who the starters are here, or the selections are here, and the predictions of starters, that may be more relevant to you. In part 2 here, our focus is on the selections, especially the final selections here. Just going to pause for a moment to talk about the Mediacast here. We need your help a little bit. We've been doing it for 5 years now, but we really feel we're not reaching our audience. So one of two things could be true. This is a very long, dull, and boring podcast, I'm told, by some people. But I know there's an audience out there for the deep dive that we do here. So I think that audience is out there, and we just haven't found them. But I'm also told that I should encourage the audience to subscribe and smash like buttons and do those kind of things that help us to reach a bigger audience. We're going to talk about after the World Cup here whether we're going to continue, because we haven't been successful. It's still costing us to do this. However, we are kind of making our best effort in this series to help us find our audience. So again, we ask you to do the things that would help us to do that. All right, that's it for that. We do have another announcement on the scheduling in the outro here, but let's move on to our business. The Mediacast is divided into 3 sections here. Section 1, just like in part 1, is some preliminary information on the team that puts things, kind of frames things for section 2. Section 2 is we're going to tell you who the selections are. We review the list that we compiled in part 1, and we also try to predict the starters at this point. So we're going to look at the lineups for the 2026 games to help us with that. In section 3, we're going to start with our spotlight review. That's a quick run through of the main players who made it and didn't make it, and our predictions. We'll also do a couple of other summaries, like surprises in the final selections, update on injuries, big players off the squad, and stuff like that. All right, let's jump right in to section 1. Teams were allowed to bring 26 players to the tournament. South Korea did. Not everyone did, but most did. 26 players. And like most teams, South Korea did not produce a preliminary squad there. So we just have the final selections. Before we move on to section 2 and see who those players were, let's take a look at the games played in 2026 that we didn't cover in part 1. So we have the March friendlies there. They played Ivory Coast in England on March 28th, and they lost heavily, actually, 4-0. South Korea will be embarrassed about that. Friendly in March 31st in Austria, playing Austria, and they lost that game too, though the scoreline was only 1-0. Actually, we're not really interested in the scores here. We're interested in the lineups. Let's go to the pre-tournament friendlies then. On May 30th in the USA, they played Trinidad and Tobago. They won that 5-0. And then on June 3rd, they played El Salvador, and they won that 1-0. Okay, so those are the friendlies. We're going to just do a quick review of the formations uh, that we did in part one. Actually, we spent a bit more time on it in part one. South Korea used a variety of formations. Eventually, they settled into a 4-2-3-1. But then in the friendlies in the fall of 2025, it became varied. But the formation they most commonly used was a 4-2-3-1, and it's probably best to think of South Korea in that formation. A bit of analysis on the varied formations they used. They used a two-man defense in 77% of the games, so about three-quarters of the games there. But about a quarter of the time, they used a three-man central defense there. Most of the time, South Korea uses a single forward, 88% of the games. But here too, they have experimented with a two-man forward line in 12% of the games. Let's take a look at the March and I'm going to call them June games, even if one of them took place on May 30th there, just for convenience. In the first March game, we see a 3-4-2-1 formation, and that's true in the second game, those games against Ivory Coast and Austria. So once again, experimenting with a three-man backline, and maybe they're changing to that because in the June games, in both cases, they also used a 3-4-2-1 formation. So those are the last four games going into the Cup. So maybe they're kind of training with it. All right, I'll just write that on the graphic. That is a 3-4-2-1. So still going with the single forward now, but using the three-man defense a little bit more. All right, we're moving on to section 2 and our look at the candidates. Let's see who made the squad. We'll begin with the manager, Hong Myung-bo. Hong Myung-bo, will consider him a selection for the squad as he was not changed in the build-up to the tournament. We do have a couple of teams that did, actually, Ghana and Saudi Arabia there. Let's go to goalkeepers. Again, if you want a bit more information on these players or on Hong Myung-bo, the manager, check out section 1. That's where we kind of introduce them, give club information, their history, and so on. Let's go to goalkeepers. We had a definite candidate in Jo Hyun-woo, who was selected for the squad. Two likely candidates. Kim Seung-gyu was selected for the squad. So was Song Bum-gun. So there are our three goalkeepers. None of the rest of them made it. Our possible candidate, Lee Chang-gun, not making it. And our two, possible but unlikely, Kim Dong-hoon. That's Kim Dong-hun and Kim Jun-hong, seemingly off the squad, proves to be there. No new candidates here, so let's try to predict the starters. We'll go over a bit of the history there. The 2023 Cup began with Kim Seung-gyu firmly entrenched as South Korea's number one. That was under manager Jurgen Klinsmann. However, in the opening match against Bahrain, he suffered an injury, and that was the end of his tournament. So Jo Hyun-woo stepped in, and they got to the semi-finals there. Going forward, we had a change in manager, but Hong Myung-bo stuck with Jo Hyun-woo, even though Kim Seung-gyu returned to fitness in late 2025, basically. So Jo Hyun-gyu Seems like the starting keeper here. But let's see. So here are our predictions before going into the March games. Jo Hyun-woo as a definite starter. Kim Sung-gyu not really challenging there, so we just have him as the backup keeper. Let's see who they used in March. It was uh, it was Jo Hyun-woo there. In the second game in March, though, it was Kim Sung-gyu, Jo Hyun-woo and Kim Sung-gyu in the June games there. So sharing responsibilities. And I got to say that the first June game looks fairly experimental, whereas the second game looks pretty much like what we expect to see in the Cup. So I would say Kim Sung-gyu seems to be making a challenge to get back his starting spot. So we're going to change up our prediction and just put them both as possible starters there. Um, um, Hard to decide between them. So 1 star for Jo Hyun-woo and 1 star for Kim Sung-gyu. There. Let's move on to defenders. For definite candidates, we have Bayern Munich's Kim Min-jae, who was selected, of course, and also a definite candidate, Jo Yoo-min, selected. He was selected. Likely candidate, Lee Han-bum, a newcomer, making the squad there. We had 4 candidates at the possible level. The first one, Kwon Kyung-won, was not selected, nor was the second one, Kim Joo-sung. The third one, though, Kim Tae-hyun, was selected for the squad. He's also a newcomer. And the fourth one, not selected, Kim Ji-soo. 2 possible but unlikely candidates, both newcomers and both not selected. That is Byun Jun-soo and Park Seung-wook. And finally, our 2 seemingly off the squad players, not selected either. That is Kim Myung-kwon and Jung Seung-hyun. So a lot of candidates there, and ultimately they just bring 4. Let's see if we have any new. Oh, we do. So it's 5 because our new candidate was selected. It is Lee Gi-hyuk. Lee Gi-hyuk, new to the squad then. He did play in the 2022 East Asian Cup then, or East Asian Cup there, and returned after a 16-month absence for a single appearance on the bench in November of 2024. So he really comes in out of the blue here, back into the squad. Lee Gi-hyuk plays for Gangwon FC in South Korea. All of his clubs have been in South Korea, and he's 26 years old. So making the squad there probably for backup there. Let's talk about who's been starting for them. Kim Min-jae and Jo Yoo-min are the main pairing there, are 2 definite candidates. Quite a few different players were used over the fall friendlies, though. But actually not many of them were selected. Newcomer Lee Han-bum did make some inroads at the end, but that was usually when they were using a 3-man central defense, as they did in most of the fall 2025 games. So I should have noted that in part 1, that towards the end they've been using a 3-man central defense. And since we saw them using it in the 2026 games, it looks like Lee Han-bum or may join them there in defense. Well, let's see if he did. In the first of the March games, we have Kim Min-joo, Jo Yoo-min, and Kim Tae-hyun actually there. And in the second game, Kim Min-jae, I have a name that I don't recognize here. I won't dwell on it though. Kim Min Jae is there, and Yi Han Bun gets a start there. Uh, in the warm-up games for June, we have kind of an experimental squad there, but Ihan Bum is one of them. Oh no, Joe Yu Min also one of them, so maybe not that experimental. But here we have newcomer Lee Gi Hyuk joining them. So Kim Min Jae missing from that formula, but he does return for the second game in June, and it is Kim Min Jae, Lee Han Bun, and Lee Gi Hyuk again used. So maybe he's making some inroads. We're going to kind of stick with what we had before, though. So we have Kim Min Jae as a definite starter, and Jo Yu Min as a likely starter. That's the one I'm a bit doubtful about after seeing the recent games. And we have Yi Han Bum as a possible starter. But I'm going to leave it at that because it would be a lot of discussion to kind of work our way through what we saw in 2026. Let's go to left backs and look at the candidates who made it. We have Lee Tae-suk as at the definite level. He was selected for the squad. However, our likely candidate, Lee Myung-jae, not selected for the squad there, so that's a bit of a surprise. There are no other candidates over here, actually. We have possible but unlikely Jo Hyun-taek, not selected, and two seemingly off the squad players, Lee Gi-jae and Kim Ji-soo. Neither of those selected for the squad, and no new candidates over here. So we're going to have to think about who's going to provide cover here. Over the period, Lee Tae-suk has been a shoe-in when they used a four-man defense or even a five-man defense. However, he's not really the winger when they use a three-man system, so we'll have to see if that continues. Anyway, with no other candidates in this position, he's kind of the last man standing. We don't even know who the backup is, really. It's probably right defender or right back Sol Young-woo, because we had him as a left back one time, but he's really moved over to the right side. So if Lee Tae-suk is not available, Sol Young-woo, or perhaps they won't use anyone at all, but will use a midfielder going forward. Let's see who it is. In the first game in March, it's a three-man defense, so it's always going to be this position pushing up to being a winger, or else a midfielder being used in the position. In the first one, it is right back Sol Young-woo, but in the second, it is Lee Tae-suk playing as a winger, just like I said he wouldn't. But there he is playing upfield a bit as a winger. In the June games, it is actually Kastrop who we're going to meet. I think we put him as an attacking midfielder, but he's been quite versatile. Kastrop playing as a winger, and in the second game, Lee Tae-huk returns playing as a winger. So I'm going to give Lee Tae-suk not 3 stars, but 2. 2, because they're not using a left back. I think if they do use a four-man defense, he will be the left back. But when they use a three-man defense, well, we saw before 2024, before the 2026 games, they basically didn't use him in that position. Here, they used him half of the time. Okay, let's go to right backs, and we've already met a definite candidate, Sol Young-woo, who was selected for the squad. Unsurprisingly, and we have a likely candidate in Kim Moon-hwan. Kim Moon-hwan also selected for the squad. None at the possible level. We had 2 possible but unlikely candidates, both newcomers. Chae Jun is the first one, and Hwang Jae-won, neither of those selected. And then at the seemingly off the squad level, Kim Tae-won not selected for the squad. No new candidates over here either. So for this position, Sol Young-woo was the undisputed starter until the fall friendlies, where Kim Moon-hwan started making inroads. He started half of the 6 games. So that looks like a bit of a challenge to the starting position. We're not convinced, though, at this point, and we want to look at the 2026 matches to see if Kim Moon-hwan makes further inroads. But we've already seen Sol Young-woo moved over to the left in the first game, so no surprise that Kim Moon-hwan started on the right in the second game. I'm seeing a bit unusual here. It's left back Lee Tae-suk playing in the second game as a winger. Now, I got to say, sometimes these formations I see, I'm all wrong. I was going to go into a little diatribe there, once I went to court to find a parking ticket. I got 4, not parking, speeding tickets. I got 4 speeding tickets at the same intersection where I was below the speed limit that was posted. So I put together a kind of a whole argument and printed photos and stuff. When I got to court, I realized I was talking about the wrong intersection. So actually, I told the prosecutor that that was the case, and I was giving up my argument. She actually let me off 2 of the tickets. Okay, so yes, I had prepared a big argument here about formations sometimes being wrong. They do differ from website to website, though, so that kind of concerns me. Anyway, it is Sol Young-hwan starting on the right here. In the June games, we have Kim Moon-hwan starting the first one, and Sol Young-woo starting the second one. So again, kind of like we saw in the fall games, there does seem to be a bit of sharing of position there. I am going to give Sol Young-woo 2 stars, though. Because if he doesn't start on the left, on the right, he might start on the left. So I think he's likely to be a starter. And I'm going to give Kim Moon-hwan 1 star as a possible starter there. Upfield we go to the defensive midfielders. And we begin with definite candidate Hwang In-bum. Hwang In-bum was selected for the squad, but there was an injury concern. I think he missed the November games. Yes, he did. And he had recovered from that injury. But then he was out with a stretched ligament since mid-May. And there was an unknown return date on that. That was shortly after we did part 1. He remained out for the rest of the season for his club. That's his club Feyenoord in the Netherlands, by the way. That season in the Netherlands ended on May 17th. However, he played both warm-up matches in June, in May and June here. So he looks like he's back to fitness, and that's a good thing. Hwang In-bum then selected for the squad. 2 likely candidates, the first of whom, Park Young-woo, was not selected. He was out with a cruciate ligament tear from mid-October 2025, not expected back until June 30th, 2026. And when we checked to update it, that prognosis remained the same. So Park Young-woo not selected. We'll call him an injury absence. The other likely candidate, Park Jin-sup, was selected for the final squad. So we'll highlight his name in green on the YouTube graphic here. At the possible level, we had 3 candidates, but none of them made it. The first one, Won Do-jae, out with a shoulder injury since early February. And it was an unknown return date on him, so that may be an injury absence as well. The second and third players were both newcomers during the period and were not selected. Kwon Hyuk-kyu and Seo Min-woo. neither of those making the squad, and nor did our seemingly off the squad candidate veteran Jung Woo Young there last appearing in September 2024. So not selected. No new candidates here, but we will do central midfielders before we talk about potential starters. For players coded as central midfielders, we have Kim Jin-gyu as a definite candidate who was selected. He had been away for army service. Every Korean male has to do army service, but he has been fielded a lot since he came back in September 2025 there. Maybe we'll mention that in the thinking about starters. We have a likely candidate in Baek Seung-ho. Baek Seung-ho there, and our possible candidate Hong Hyun-suk, not selected for the squad. Neither were our two seemingly off the squad players, Lee Soo-min and Kim Bong-soo. No new candidates here either. So now we can consider who the starters are going to be in the midfield. Quite a few candidates now. Hwang In-bum and Park Young-woo seemed the main pairing in the Cup and throughout 2024. Park Young-woo, the likely candidate who didn't make it because of injury, so he won't, obviously that partnership won't continue. The return of Kim Jin-gyu and the introduction of attacking midfielder Jens Kastrup, who sometimes plays central midfield, combines with the injury and non-selection of Park Young-woo going into the Cup. Baek Seung-ho is also in the mix there, and perhaps Park Jin-sup taking a bigger role. But again, we've been looking to the 2026 games to provide some clarification. So going into 2026, we would guess that Hwang In-bum is kind of the main candidate there, but who his partner is going to be is really the question. So let's go to the March game and see who we have. We have, Hwang In-bum is not starting in that game. It's a little difficult because the graphic I use just says like J Kim, so I have to kind of figure out who it is. J Kim is Kim Jin-gyu, and he is alongside Park Jin-sup there. But in the second game, it is Baek Seung-ho coming in alongside Kim Jin-gyu. So Kim Jin-gyu starting both games there after returning from his military service. In the next game, it's actually the same as the second March game, Baek Seung-ho and Kim Jin-gyu. Kastrup, by the way, there is playing as a winger. And in the last game, Hwang In-bum returns, and he plays alongside attacking midfielder Lee Jae-sung there. So what do we have here? Well, Hwang In-bum not as likely as we thought he would be. It's still kind of a little bit all over the place, but I would say Kim Jae-suk there. Kim Jin-gyu is the looking the more likely candidate there. So we're going to give him 2 stars, and then let's see where we go. And then we're going to give 1 star to Hwang In-bum, although I'd say almost 1.5 there. And Baek Seung-ho also looking like a possible candidate there. Okay, so still a bit uncertain in the midfield as to who it's going to be. Let's move upfield and we'll go to attacking midfielders. Here we do have Son Heung-min. That's partly because we want to kind of introduce him quickly. He'll play in various positions up front here. But actually, yes, does kind of appear on the left quite a bit. Anyway, no surprise that captain of the team, Son Heung-min, was selected. I'm just Looking for my right spot here. There we go. Son Heung-min selected for the squad. Also, Wolverhampton player Hwang Hee-chan is a likely candidate here, and he too is selected for the squad. And so too our possible candidate, Bae Jun-ho. He plays for Stoke now in England. Actually, he's been there for a few years. So all three of those selected. We had three seemingly off the squad players, and none of them were selected. That is Lee Seung-woo, Moon Sun-min, and Na Sang-ho. None of those selected for the squad. And let's talk about the position a little bit here. Well, several candidates appear over here, not just the ones we named. Son Heung-min and Hwang Hee-chan are the main two. Hwang was actually injured for a lot of the period here. Bae Jun-ho started making inroads, or has been making inroads recently, perhaps freeing up the others to play in different positions, actually. Attacking midfielder Lee Jae-sung, who we met there as a central midfielder in the second June game. Lee Jae-sung has started here, and also right attacking midfielder Ji-sung also got his only start here on this side. So in short, the last 6 games had all 5 of those players I mentioned, and actually Lee Jae-sung, the attacking midfielder, was the only one to start twice. So quite confusing here. Hopefully it'll become less confusing when we look at the games. And in the first game, it is Hwang Hee-sung, and in the second game, Lee Jae-sung starting. They're both starting as a left attacking midfielder in that 3-4-2-1 formation. In the June game, the first June game, it is attacking midfielder Lee Dong-kyung. There, we're going to meet him soon. And in the second game, Hwang Hee-chan for the second time over the 4 games there. So, yeah, a little hard to predict over here. It could be anyone. But what are we going to do for predictions? I'm going to just delay on that because we may do some general predictions because these players move around a lot. Let's move on to the right side. Here is actually where we have Lee Jae-sung. I think I've been calling him a hang on. I have been calling him an attacking midfielder. On the right side, we have Lee Gang-in, of course, and he is selected for the squad. No candidates at the likely level here. 3 at the possible level. The first one, Lee Dong-jun, not selected. The second one, Jae-sung, who I mentioned as getting his only start on the left there. He is selected. And the third one, Yang Min-hyuk, not selected. We also had 3 possible but unlikely candidates. The first, and one of them was selected. It's our middle candidate, Yang Hyun-jun, making the squad. But the other 2, Jung Sang-bin and Jun Jin-woo, neither of those selected for the squad. So we have Lee Gang-in, Ji-sung, and Yang Hyun-ju there. No new candidates, but the undisputed starter over here is Lee Gang-in. The only time he doesn't start over here is when he starts in the center, which he sometimes does. So we have seen other players come in, but attacking midfielder Lee Dong-kyung is the one who's appeared probably the most, and that's only twice. Potentially some of the left attacking midfielders could play over here, though not so much during this period, but I have seen it in the past. For example, Hwang Hee-chan showing up over here. And of course, EJ Sung could appear anywhere, basically. So let's take a look at the games here. We're expecting to see Lee Gang-in here. In the first one, though, it is newcomer Bae Jun-ho playing against Ivory Coast in March. In the second one, though, Lee Gang-in as expected. In the second game, it is Bae Jun-ho again. I don't know if this constitutes a challenge. I can't see it, though, against Lee Gang-in. Lee Gang-in plays for Paris Saint-Germain. Bae Jun-ho, I'll tell you who he plays for. I'll just finish this. It's second game. The attacking midfielder, Lee Dong-kyung, starting there. So Lee Dong-kyung actually getting quite a few starts in the March games here. What are we going to do for starters? Well, I would say over here that Lee Gang-in, my faith is not shaken, even though he played only one game. I still think he'll be the starter over here. But I think we should give. That was not Jae-sung there. It was the left attacker, Bae Jun-ho, starting two of the games. So we could put him as a starter, potential starter as right attacking midfield. So as you see, they switch around quite a bit up here. Let's go on to central attacking midfield. They only use that position about half of the time, but in that 3-4-2-1 formation, some of the central attacking midfielders will be used because it is more central than say a 4-2-3-1. The candidates here, Song Heung-min is generally coded as an attacking midfielder. We moved him over to the left. Lee Gang-in is coded as an attacking midfielder. We moved him over to the right. Han Hee-chan is coded as an attacking midfielder. We moved him to the left. But what that does suggest is that it's pretty fluid up here, and they can play in any of the three positions, especially those three players, although they do favor certain sides. So the first candidate on our list here is EJ Sung. He's a definite candidate, and he is selected for the final squad. And then the likely candidate, I believe it's the first foreigner, Waegukin. That Korean word means kind of outside country person. So in Korea, I got used to calling myself and others like me foreigners. It's not an insult. Jens Kastrop, of course, he's not a foreigner because he's a Korean citizen. But that name, of course, is not Korean. He was selected for the squad, as was possible candidate Lee Dong-kyung, who we've seen playing more. So he looked more than a possible candidate after the 2026 games. And that's all we have over here, all three of them selected, and no new candidates. So let's look at the center of the field. None of them used in the first game there in March, and in the second game, EJ Sung we saw as I would call him a left attacking midfielder there in that game. We've seen that Lee Dong-kyung started also as a left attacking midfielder in the last game there. In the first of the June games, first of the pre-tournament friendlies. And then he also started on the right of that 3-4-2-1 attack. So the right attacking midfielder, Lee Dong-kyung. Again, we don't know if they're just giving these players some field time and some experience. It seems the general pattern there was not using their veterans during the friendly as much as giving the lesser used players a chance. So we don't really know if that constitutes a a challenge to the positions, in short. But what do we have here? So we're going to kind of go back and do a couple of things. We think EJ Sung will be a likely starter overall. But then he could appear anywhere in the midfield. So we're not going to kind of do it position by position. We think Lee Kang-in is a definite starter overall, and probably or likely the starter on the right there. We think Son Heung-min is a definite starter overall, and again, not sure what position. We're going to talk about it more as a forward soon. And Hwang Hee-chan definitely does favour more on the left, but at this point we wouldn't give him the likely. We'd give him the possible starter here. So Son Heung-min, we would say a definite. Bae Jun-ho, I think we got to give him a possible at this point. Ji-sung and Yang Hyun-jun, the right attacking midfielders, both of those look more like bench players. And Jens Kastrup didn't start as much as might be expected there, just once in the central midfield there. So we're not going to put any star beside his name. But Lee Dong-gyuk played a lot. Lee Dong-kyung played a lot in March, so we give him 1 star as a possible starter. Whew. All right, let's move on to forwards. Let's finish with the forwards. We do have one player at the secondary striker level, but he was seemingly off the squad. It was Jung Woo-young. And he was not selected for the squad. Let's not dwell on that, but go forward. We have a definite candidate in Oh Hyung-gyu, playing for Besiktas in Turkey there. He was selected for the squad. And Jo Gyu-sung is now just at the possible level, but he was protected. He was selected. He actually returned from a long absence in November, which is why we had him at the possible level. We were wondering if he was going to make his way back into the team. We'll see, I guess, in March. That'll help us determine. But being selected is a sign. The other possible candidate, Oh Se-hyun, not selected there. And possible but unlikely, Jo Min-kyu, not selected either. No new candidates here either. So we just had one new candidate. We'll review that in section 3. But let's talk about the position. Jo Gyu-sung was out for 20 months with injuries, actually had a torrid time of it. He had, in the Asian Cup, vied with and sometimes shared the position with Son Heung-min. Sometimes they used a 2-man forward line, so both of them were on the pitch there. Son Heung-min mostly deputized, though, over the period until they found a strong candidate in Oh Hyung-gyu. So they were experimenting a bit, or else using Son Heung-min. And then Oh Hyung-gyu kind of offered some support in the position. Then we have Jo Gyu-sung coming back in November. And again, he was selected for the squad, so it looks like he's going to be part of the mix. And what I'm thinking is it actually might free up Son Heung-min to play more of an attacking midfield role, because I think they're using him as a forward just for lack of other candidates. But we'll see. Let's take a look at the November games. In the first one, we have our 2 regular candidates, Oh Hyung-gyu in the first one and Son Heung-min in the second. Okay, so much for my theory. It's Son Heung-min starting as a forward in the first of the June games, and he scored twice against Trinidad and Tobago there. And in the second one, Jo Gyu-sung gets a start there. So perhaps in the mix as well. So a little hard to say. My theory about freeing Son Heung-min up to play. Son Heung-min up to play in the midfield didn't really work there, but I still think it might be a thing. Let's see. We have again. We did put Son Heung-min as a definite starter overall, and forward position might be one of the positions. Beyond that, though, it's a little hard to tell between Oh Hyung-kyu and Jo Gyu-sun there. So we'll give them both 1 star as possible starters. All right, that is it for section 2. We move on to section 3, where we have a few summaries. The first thing, though, is our spotlight review. Our spotlight review. Well, we want to welcome listeners to the short version of the Mediacast here, and the spotlight review is a race through the squad, reviewing what we covered in section 2 of the full version. Part 1 of the Mediacast introduces all of these players. If you're interested in getting to know them better, this is just telling us who made the squad and who we think these starters are going to be. Anyway, we begin with manager Hong Myung-bo, who we will consider a selection for the squad. Moving on to goalkeepers, we had definite candidate Jo Hyun-woo, who was selected, and 2 likely candidates, Kim Seung-gyu and Song Bum-gun, both of those selected for the squad, and possible candidate Lee Chang-gun, not selected. We won't mention players at the possible or but unlikely level, or at the seemingly off the squad level, unless they were selected for the squad. We did have a couple of those, or we will have. Let's move on to central defenders here. Our 2 definite candidates, Kim Min-jae and Jo Yoo-min, were selected for this. Oh, I didn't do starters for goalkeepers. Let's go back and finish our business there. We think it's possible, Jo Hyun-woo and Kim Seung-gyu, we think it's an even possibility. Maybe Jo Hyun-woo a bit more likely there, but after looking at the March games, we became a bit doubtful. So we give them both 1 star as possible candidates. Okay, now on to central defenders. We have our 2 definite candidates, Kim Min-jae and Jo Yoo-min. Both selected, as was our likely candidate, Lee Han-bum. We had 4 possible candidates, but only one of them was chosen, Kim Tae-hyun. The other 3 were not chosen, Kwon Kyung-won, Kim Joo-sung, and Kim Ji-soo. None of those selected. We had a bunch of candidates below that we won't mention, but we will mention newcomer, a new player added to the squad, Lee Gi-hyuk, making it 5 central defenders they're bringing to the tournament. That's about the amount we expect. In terms of starters, we think our definite candidate Kim Min-jae is a definite starter, Jo Yoo-min a likely starter, and we give 1 star to Lee Han-bum. They've been using a 3-man central defense actually, so all of those might be a little bit more likely if they use that extra defender. Over to the left back position, our definite candidate Lee Tae-suk was selected, and he's the only one over here. Our likely candidate Lee Myung-jae was not selected, and that's all we have over here. So Lee Tae-suk, nevertheless, despite being the only candidate, we think he's a likely rather than a definite starter for reasons that I got into in section 2 and that we won't repeat here. Let's move over to the right back position. Sol Young-woo is a definite candidate, and he was selected, as was likely candidate Kim Moon-hwan. And in terms of starters, we think Sol Young-woo is a likely starter. I would say 2.5 likely to definite. Well, I think he's a definite starter. He might start actually as left back or as a left defender there. Likely candidate Kim Moon-hwan, we give 1 star as a possible starters. Again, both of those maybe a half a point higher. Up we go to defensive midfielders, or defensive and central midfielders. We begin with definite candidate Hwang In-bum. He was selected for the squad. Our likely candidate, Park Young-woo, not selected due to injury. That's a big loss. But the other likely candidate, Park Jin-sup, was selected. None of our 3 possible candidates, though, made the cut. Won Du-jae, Kwon Hyuk-kyu, and Samin-woo. None of those making it. In terms of central midfielders, or players coded that way, since the positions do blend quite a bit, we have a definite candidate in Kim Jin-gyu and a likely candidate in Baek Sung-ho. And that's all we have over here. So our four defensive midfielders, but sometimes we do have Jens Kastrop, who we put as an attacking midfielder, coming back into the central midfield. Anyway, in terms of starters, well, we thought Hwang In-bum was a likely starter until we looked at the March and June games in 2026. And he wasn't used as much as we thought. So now we just have him as a possible starter. The Kim Jin-gyu, we think, is a likely starter, but we also give 1 star to Baek Sung-ho as a possible starter there. All right, up to the attacking end of the midfield and the left attackers. Son Heung-min is fairly versatile, but we've put him over here on the left, captain of the team. Son Heung-min, a definite candidate, and he was selected. Likely candidate, Hwang Hee-chan, also selected. And possible candidate, a newcomer, Bae Jun-ho, also making the squad there. Well, what we're going to do is, because these players shift around quite a bit, we're just going to give the general likelihood of starting and not really try to predict what position they're going to start in. Son Heung-min may be a forward, starts quite a bit as a forward, so that may be his position, but he can start anywhere. So we give him 3 stars as a definite starter somewhere on the field. Hwang Hee-chan, 1 star, that probably would be on the left if he got the start, so a possible candidate. Bae Jun-ho we're going to give 1 star as a possible starter. Again, that would probably be on the left or right attacking midfield. Moving over to right attackers, we have a definite candidate in Lee Gang-in, who was selected. And then we had 3 possible candidates. Only one of them made it. That's Ji-sung, selected. But the 2 other ones, Lee Dong-jun and Yang Min-hyuk, neither of those selected. And one of our possible but unlikely candidates made the cut, Yang Hyun-jun, selected for the squad. In terms of starters, Lee Gang-in will probably start on the right. He does start in the middle sometimes. We think he is a definite starter with 3 stars, and we would give 2 of those stars over on the right, the likely right attacking midfielder, but 1 star to central attacking midfielder. That's the position we move on to. We have definite candidate Lee Jae-sung, who was selected. Likely candidate Jens Kastrop is where we put him, even though he's coded as a central midfielder, and he was selected. And possible candidate Lee Dong-kyung, who has seen a bit more action in March than we would have expected, March and June. In terms of starters here, Lee Jae-sung is very fluid, really all over the place in the attacking midfield. We give him 2 stars as a likely starter. I would really say 2.5. And then we give Lee Dong-kyung 1 star because of what we saw in the 2026 games. He starting a bit more there. On we go to forwards, and we have a definite candidate in Oh Hyung-gyu. Excuse me, and he was selected. So too our likely candidate, the returning Jo Kyu-sung, selected. The other possible candidate, Oh Se-hoon, not selected. When we talk about forwards, we got to keep Son Heung-min in mind. He starts about half the games, actually started more than either of these 2 players. But what we're thinking is if they find a strong forward, it might free up Son Heung-min to move back to the attacking midfield. Uh, that theory didn't really play out in the 2026 games. Anyway, we're going to give Oh Hyung-gyu. We basically they steal a point from each other because now at this point they seem equally likely. So Oh Hyung-gyu was our favorite going into 2026, but we moved him from likely to possible and moved Jo Gyu-sung up to possible level there. And of course, Son Heung-min, also a possible starter over here. That's it, the spotlight review, our race through the squad. Let's move on to surprises. First of all, notable non-selections. Here we have Lee Myung-jae. Even though he was a newcomer, we considered him a likely candidate, but he didn't make the cut. He's a left back, so that leaves them with just one left back. Maybe that suggests that they are going to use the three-man central defence in the tournament. Unexpected inclusions. We have right attacking midfielder Yang Hyun-jun making the squad. And then new players, we only have one of those as well. It is central defender Lee Gi-hyuk. Lee Gi-hyuk added to the mix there, probably as a substitute, I'm guessing. He'll do well to get on the field at all. Big names off the squad. Well, we did that in part one, and we had Kim Young-gwon. We won't go through the biographies of these players. I think we did do that in part one. Maybe I'll try to give you the bare bones for the new names off the squad now that we know that they're not being selected for this tournament. We begin with Kim Jin-soo. Kim Jin-soo is a left back, and he played for South Korea from 2013 to 2024 with 76 caps. He's 34 years old now. And again, all of these players are going to be part of most of their tournaments over the period, so we won't go through those. He did appear in the Asian Cup, the 2023 Asian Cup, but was a substitute there. And Kim Jin-soo last appeared in June of 2024. Next, we have Jung Woo-young. Jung Woo-young is a defensive midfielder with the team from 2015 to 2024, 77 caps for him and 3 goals. He's 37 years old now, and his last tournament was the World Cup in 2022, where he was a starter. But he did appear after that in September 2024 was his last appearance for the team. Those are the only 2 names to add to the list. Let's move on to injuries. In part one, we did injuries, so we'll update those. Defensive midfielder Park Young-woo was out with a cruciate ligament tear from mid-October 2025, not expected back until June 30th, 2026. We kind of hoped that he might recover a little bit faster. I gotta say, with the cruciate ligament tear, though, it is always about a year. So even his 9 months in June there is fast. Anyway, the prognosis remains the same, and so he will not be back for the Cup. So, yes, we had him out of contention there with a slight hope of making the squad, but now we will put him in the dropped due to injury section. New injuries. Well, his basically partner in the midfield there, Hwang In-bum, was also a concern, out with a stretched ligament since mid-March and an unknown return date, and he did remain out for the rest of the season. So that would have been a blow to South Korea to lose their 2 main defensive midfielders. However, Hwang In-bum played both of the warm-up matches on May 30th and June 3rd. So great news for that. Well, I'm not quite ready to put him as recovered from injury there. We'll put him as an injury doubt because probably would have to build up fitness, but seems to be doing that. So maybe after a couple of games in the Cup, he'll be back up to full fitness there. Next, we have Wandu J, just a possible candidate here, out with a shoulder injury since early February and not selected for the final squad. So we don't know if he was dropped due to injury or whether he just wasn't a strong enough candidate. But because we had him just at the possible level, we'll say injured but not a strong candidate. Wandu J there. Not making the squad. Closing thoughts on South Korea? I don't think I have anything particular to say, to be honest. I think they have a good squad here, but they have in the past as well. So let's move on to the. I keep forgetting to move on to the graphic. Closing thoughts there? None. Let's move on to Mediacast information. So I did do a bit of an appeal in part one to help us find our audience. Here I want to talk about changes that we're going to make because we think we're not going to finish all 48 teams before the Cup. So we're going to do two things to try to smooth it along. So we actually did the African Cup recently. That took place in late 2025 and early 2026. We have done some of the teams, especially the ones who didn't make it to that cup, but we're going to delay the ones we haven't done until the end. Ivory Coast, Tunisia, Egypt, Senegal, Algeria, Congo DR. But we're not sure we're going to get there before it's too late. CONCACAF teams, we're thinking the same thing because we last covered those in the 2025 Gold Cup in the summer of 2025. However, when we made this decision, we found we've done them all except one. Curacao, the only team we haven't done, but that done in 2025. So if you're curious about those teams, the previous podcast we did on them is not or Mediacast, I should say, is not too much out of date. You can at least get to know the players there. So to do that, you can check our back catalogue using the addresses on the screen or in the show notes. The other change we're going to make is after Group E, we're going to just start publishing parts one and part two together. Actually, in truth, we would like to do that in the first place. The only reason we can't is because we have to wait for the rosters to come out, the final selections. So we can't wait to do all of the teams until after the rosters are published. That would give us about a week or two to do all of the teams. That's why we do part one and part two. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to doing the teams from Group F onward just in one media cast, but we have done groups H and L already, so those are not included. All right, that is it. We are at the end of our look at South Korea, and I hope that helps you to enjoy the Cup, because it does, for me, help me to enjoy the Cup when I know who's on the field. See you next time. We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this Mediacast. The title of the piece used is Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American.